everybody, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Heather and we do fabulous sewing things here. So thank you so much for joining me. Today we're doing something super fun and brand new. You ready? Should we do a drum roll? We're making the Olivia Bag by Janie Bags. Hi. Okay. She is the cutest. I am going to leave a lot of the particulars to the end of the video, but I do just want to mention it is closed. We used a bar lock. You can do a twist lock also. There's great instructions for that. But one of the things that I love about this is that we also have multiple magnetic snaps. And so when you're holding your bag by your top handle, you're not putting all that pressure on your twist lock or your bar lock or whatever it is. So I love that. I think that when I make flap style bags in the future, I'll probably utilize that technique as well because it's fabulous. It takes all that strain off of your lock, and so it's gonna last for much longer. Okay, and look at the inside, you guys. We've got a zip pocket in the back, which will open after, a slip pocket in the front. We'll turn her around. And we have this really cool side gusset panel pieces and just like so much that we will definitely go through and go over. This is a structured bag, okay? And so your interfacing choices, those are gonna be important. It's nice. I love the structure. This is definitely a bag that you could size down. I think that this would be beautiful. It's beautiful now, like obsessed. Obsessed. But I think it would be really cool too if you made it a little bit smaller. You know, I'm a mini bag girl. If you didn't know that, I'm a mini bag girl. I love small bags, and so definitely this would look super cute sized down 85% or to 85% or so. It would be super cute. Got the back. I just like the way that these sides come out. We're gonna pick a strap and do a strap together also to put it over our shoulder. There are so many cool things about this bag. It is a brand new pattern. I definitely think you should check it out. This is you walk into an event or a holiday party or anything like that with this bag, people are gonna be like, oh my God, where did you get that? It is that kind of bag. I love those kind of bags, you guys. I love them. Everybody needs one. You need at least one bag where somebody's like, oh my God, where did you get that? And it's even cooler if you get to say like, oh, I made it. All right, let's get into our materials and our sewing and see how we put this beautiful new bag together. All right, so here we are with our supplies, and it's a lot. Now I will tell you that there is a good amount of prep work that you can do, that you should do, that's going to make this bag come together much faster. So the prep work will take a little extra time, but the bag will really come together. So for our interior, we've got our slip pocket facing, and this is it's a vinyl. It's a faux suede vinyl. I don't remember where it came from. But there are a lot of people who sell this faux suede style. I think it's from Oh So Pretty Custom Fabrics. They often have a lot of vinyls like this on retail, and so I will link them. And then we've got our zipper pocket facing for the interior as well. We have our lining panels for the side gussets, and these are considered parts of that as well. And this is an OtterTex waterproof canvas, so it has that thick PVC backing on it. And I got this actually a really long time ago. I have a lot of rolls. You probably see them in the intro videos hanging on the wall. I got them from a fabric supplier that went out of business, so sorry. But there are places that sell OtterTex, and I think you can get it on Amazon. I just don't know what kind of colors they have. These are our zip pocket panel pieces, our slip pocket panel piece, our top facings for our lining interior, and then our lining interior is just this one long piece. And then we put the facings on either side. So it's an interesting way to construct a bag, and it's definitely new for me, so it's probably new for some other folks as well. We've got 4 D-ring connectors, and we have put the interfacing on everything ahead of time because that is part of the prep work. And we've got 4 D-rings. I have 2 different kinds of webbing here because I haven't decided which one to use yet. This is from Soulful Therapy, and this is from Wonderground. They're both 1.5 inch for our larger strap, and I figured once we have the bag together, we'll be able to decide sort of which one will work better. So we'll do one of those. Some of our hardware here. We have a lock, which we'll be placing on our flap. We are using magnetic snap rivets. Okay, so these will go with the cam press, and you do need the rivet die for those as well. That's what we're going to use for our magnets. I have double cap rivets here for our strapping, and we'll probably utilize these for our D-rings also, just for some added structure. We have 1.5 inch slider and swivel hooks for our strap. We have our handle piece interfaced. And we have our base panel, and we have already put on our purse feet, and I included one in the center here as well. So we have that interfaced. We have a purse feet die set for our rivet press, and so that's what I used here. So these are rivets on one side and purse feet on the other, and that's why I didn't show it. I know some folks don't have a cam press, but I just followed the instructions for the 4 and then found the center. For the 5th one, I like the center of the bag to have a little bit of structure as well. Our side gusset pieces, and this is a waterproof canvas from Soulful Therapy. I will link their website in the description. I'll link anything that I can. We have our 2 flap pieces and our flap interfacing. These are the other parts of our side pieces, again, already interfaced, and our 2 main panels, complete with interfacing. All right, so let's head on over to the machine and get going. All right, so we are at the machine, which is a Juki TL2010Q. We are using Tex 35 weight thread from Wizardry Stitchery. We have a 9014 needle in, and we're using what's called a tank foot that I got from Soulful Therapy and has not been in stock. And I know people are always asking me about it, but it's basically, it's a foot that sort of almost operates like a walking foot, but doesn't have that big bulk on the back. So that's what we're going with today. All right, so we're starting off with our base panel and our 2 main panels, and we're just going to take our base panel and we're going to line it up with one of our main panels. We're going to clip it together once we get it all lined up. And then we're just going to sew together the seam allowance given in the pattern. Just be careful if you have purse feet on, it's going to change the angle of your bottom panel. Something sounds angry, so we're gonna just double check. And something was angry. Our thread was out of place. So it is fixed. All right, now we are, it tells you to open the seams and top stitch on the base panel. We do end up having to open the seams on both sides here, and because we're not going all to one direction, I am going to top stitch on both sides, so the base, and I'm going to come over and top stitch on the bottom as well, just to keep everything all butterflied open. This pattern has you using a lot of double-sided tape, and so I'm going to try to just put in a few tips and tricks if you have a machine that doesn't always love double-sided tape. So you could just put the other side down with double-sided tape, or we're gonna give it a go. I have no idea what it will look like, but we're gonna try to just do both, basically, both sides. And when you sew a seam open, we're doing 1/8 of an inch away from the seam, and you just want to make sure you have your hand underneath so that you can ensure that your seam is staying where you want it. So my fingers are just keeping it open. And then we're just going to come down to the end here, and we'll back stitch because we do have to butterfly. And we're going to just come down and hold this seam down as well on the other side. Okay, I will show you. So there we go. That's our seam. Looking pretty good, I think. We're gonna go ahead and do the other panel, attach that in the exact same way to our base, and then we'll come back together. All right, so we have everything attached. Now we are gonna hold off on what actually is the next step in the pattern, because I want to work on a few things before we get there. But basically we will be folding and using double-sided tape to bring everything sort of in on itself. But I know that the double-sided tape I have to use for my machine, it's not going to hold until we get to where we need to. So I'm gonna hold off, and we're gonna work on putting together the handle and constructing the flap, and then we will come back and do what's technically the next step in the pattern. All right, so we've got our handle piece, and we're gonna need 2 of our D-rings, and we have our interfacing already on, and I'm gonna forego double-sided tape here, thinking about my machine. I am also not, the pattern has you fold and then come over, but we've got the interfacing, and knowing my machine, we're just gonna fold once over. We're gonna input our D-ring per instructions. Okay. Gonna use a clip. We'll do the same thing over here. And then we're just going to take this, fold it, and come up over. actually, because we're not following the instructions, we're gonna come in here first, and then over. We'll pull those D-rings out enough so that our end is not sticking out. Okay. Then we will fold like so. We're basically just folding around that interfacing. Okay. And so from the top, this is what we will have. And this will be from the bottom, which you won't see. This is really just a carry handle. And so we will sew here, sew across on both sides, and then we'll sew everything together. I'm just going to bring out our fold just slightly. All the way down. Just a little bit. All right, there we go. So I'm going to do the sides first, because I want this to be the top side of what we're looking at here. And then I will go down the center. And you could put on a zipper foot here. We're just going to get as close as possible. And this is thick, so again, this is where you want to consider what's going to work for your machine. And we're just going to try to go about the same distance away as we just did. Keep it even. Take our time. And now we will go ahead and run right down the center. So we don't want to go over our D-ring. Take our screwdriver here, make sure we keep everything sort of in line where we want it. Okay, here we go. We're going to do one more line. Just to center our stitching. We'll give it a little extra reinforcement as well. there we go. That part of our handle construction is complete. We're just going to burn off any of our longer pieces of thread. Okay. Now, we want to take 2 of our D-ring connectors, and here too we're instructed to use double-sided tape. We're going to clip these together for now. So we're just folding it right over that interfacing. And we are going to run just a top stitch down both sides of both of our connectors before we place these in. I just like the look of this. And we're just going to pivot here. We won't see the ends of these connectors once they're put in, so I'm not worried that we'll see the end of this. And same thing over here. Again, we won't see those ends, so we just sort of pivoted a little extra. That's totally fine. All right. So now we will take these and we're just going to go through both sides of our D-ring there. And we're just clipping together for now because we need now the flap to finish our strap off. All right, so we have got in one of our flap pieces and we have the same flap piece for the exterior and interior. So in this case, it doesn't matter. And we've taken the pattern piece. Now this is one of the things that I absolutely adore about when pattern designers put all the marks that you need, you don't have to measure. So lovely. So we have made our handle marks because that's what we're working on first on our interfacing that will be in the bag. And we use a seam ripper to make the slits. And I'm just working on transferring these marks to our material, and in that case, once we're able to do that, we'll make the slits there as well. Okay, I think we're good. And this is just an air erasing marker. All right, I just wanted to show you what it would look like, and then we'll just take our seam ripper gonna go right up the line we just made on both sides. Okay, now what we want to do is figure out which side we want to be the front, and then we're going to first go through our fabric, and then we'll go through our interfacing. You could attach interfacing ahead of time. I chose not to, and this will be a tight fit, which is what you're looking for. Don't want it to be too big of an opening. Just pull it through. A little bit bigger. Won't hurt us. All right. We're in. We'll do the same thing over here. And then we're going to bring it through. Our interfacing. There we go. Perfect. You want it, like I said, you want it to fit nice and tight. All right, now let's get it through our interfacing. Okay. And then we'll be able to move to the next step. So we're gonna do the same thing here, pull through the interfacing, then we'll come back together. All right, we are in, looking good. Now, because we are using a waterproof canvas and not a vinyl, I am just going to actually stitch from the inside. So I'm going to put a stitch right here, and that will keep the raw edge of our material here. It will keep it so that it does not fray out or anything like that. So it's a little different, but that's because we're using different materials. If I was using all vinyl on the outside, I know my machine, that girl would be mad at me. So we're just gonna put a stitch here, and then we're gonna put a rivet through the whole thing. So I will show you one side what I mean. Again, and it's just right here. And because we're going through so many materials and so much interfacing, I can see my needle's gonna need to be cleaned off. The glue, guys, it's the glue. And so now you can see here, it does create a little pucker, but it keeps our raw edges exactly where we want them. And then we'll put a rivet right here. So I'm gonna do the same thing over there. I'm gonna put rivets in off camera, but I'll just pick a center and we'll rivet it. And that will really ensure that our handle is good to go. All right, our rivets are in, okay. Now we've also used the pattern piece to make our marks for our magnetic snaps, and we have 4 scrap pieces of Decaville. So we're just going to punch holes here and in our Decaville, and then we're going to attach our snaps. Now you can use any kind of snaps that you have here. For the purposes of the flap, we want the male ends. So these are the female ends. So we're going to keep these because we're going to put those on our panel. And we do need 4 altogether. You can see these are, all right, so there's for our other panel. And we need 4 of our male side. Okay. And then we need our rivet caps. And in total, we're going to need 8. Okay, so we need to cap our 4 male. And we're going to need to cap our 4 female also, so I'm taking those out. All right, I'm going to take this to the press and install our snaps. All right. Magnetic snaps installed. So this will be the top outside, and this will be the top inside basically. And our snaps are going to attach to our bag. Now, the pattern is going to have you follow basically, this is a little off, the rest of the instructions where we fold over our edges and sew together. That was just driving me crazy. It was a little off, and I feel like that's better now. But I'm going to actually sew these right sides together and then turn, so we'll leave our back open. And I'm just doing that again because I can already see the sticky on my needle, and I know we're gonna get to a point where we're having a really hard time, and I don't want to. So we're gonna sew them together like this, and then we'll do a turn. So we're just clipping together our edges. And I think that this is what's great about this pattern, is that there are definitely ways to accommodate different machines, different skill levels, and you can definitely go for it. And not everything is going to line up perfect because we have made those adjustments, our snaps, we've added our handle, etc. So this will give us a little bit of grace when it comes to that also. And we're going to leave our back open. Okay? So we're going to sew from here all the way around and back up to the top. Just be mindful of where your snaps are and your excess. I know we have a snap area here, so I'm just tilting my fabric. We're gonna come down one more stitch here. Trying to keep that seam allowance. And again, one more. More sort of similar, we can keep everything, the better off we're definitely going to be. And you can see, like I said, we're not lined up completely, and that's totally fine here, you guys. Totally fine. All right. We're gonna come in here. We're going to clip all of our pointy pieces. So anything that's sticking out, we're clipping. I'm going to cut down our seam allowance a little bit. Anything that's going to sort of deter us from having that really crisp turn when we turn our bag. That's what we're taking care of right now. Cut off some of this excess also. Really trim everything down. We're going to cut into our corner here. So anywhere where we invert, we're going to cut into. All right, I think we're in a good spot. I'm gonna reach in the back here and I'm gonna turn it. I am gonna pause because it's gonna take me a hot second to do that, but you basically just wanna grab your corners and pull through, okay? All right, we're all turned. It's so cute, you guys. Like, seriously, we're gonna do a top stitch. And we're just going around the parts that we sewed together, so we're not going around the back. We're just gonna be mindful of like the areas in which there could be some bulky bits. Take our time so that it looks nice. Bulky bits are going to tend to be more in the corners. Again, remember you have those snaps under there. Don't hit them. can use some matching thread here if you're concerned about your top stitch. Snap here, bulky bits coming. You can hear it as it goes through those thicker materials. We're just going to pivot here. We do have another snap over here, so keep that in mind. We're going to do that pivot over here one more time like we did on the other side. Bring us where we want to be. And pivot once more. There we go. And we're coming up on our other snap. All right, top stitching of our flap is complete. Now we can attach this to our body. All right, so we've gotten our panel and we have attached double-sided tape here. This is the back side, and we are gonna go ahead and do part of what we need to do, which is we're folding this down on the interfacing. And like I said, I know our double-sided tape is not strong enough, so we're gonna utilize some clips here as well. Okay. Now we also need to start to fold over our sides. Okay. So we're going to take our double-sided tape, at least down here on this end, and we're just going to run it down both sides. And this is so that we can put our flap on our back panel accurately. Okay. We're not going to do the whole thing yet. We will come back and sort of put the rest of these pieces in place when we're closer to putting together our whole bag. Our machine will struggle. I will tell you right now, definitely gonna be difficult to get this all together. All right, so this will allow us to go ahead and turn this over, and we need to measure down from the top. Sorry for my head, you guys. Sort of necessary. I'm just gonna use my vinyl marking pen and make a mark. So that's how far down we need to come with our flap. Putting this down. All right. Now we've got our flap. And we just have to turn in our ends because we did not sew it turned in as it was. We're going to do it now. We're just folding over the interfacing that's inside. Do the same thing for the back side here. We're going to fold it down to match. And we're not going to see this seam, so it's not anything that I'm worried about. We're going to stitch this baby down good. We do just need to trim our threads from earlier. They're still sticking out pretty good. Okay. Yeah, we're good there. All right, there we go. We are together, and we just need to center our panel and over that line. So we are going to grab some double-sided tape here. Actually, we're gonna use clips because we have this sort of right where we want it with clippies. We're just gonna hold this together. Make sure your exterior piece is out. All right, now we're gonna sew multiple lines down our flap. Okay, so we'll probably sew 3. You can go ahead and sew however many you'd like. You can also attach rivets here. We are just going to stick with the 3 lines of stitching. And we'll move our clips as we go. Got a lot going on right now. Just smush it all in there. We're gonna start really close to the bottom edge, That way we can make sure that we're all attached and nothing's going to come out. Okay. This will be a lot easier once we have our first line of stitching in for sure. I do like how it goes the whole length of the back, so it's really easy to line up once you get that mark for how far down you want it to go. And this is why we did not choose vinyl for our flat materials, because I knew that that would be a lot for my machine. So again, just understand what you're working with when you make your choices. That will really help you. Okay, almost there. So that's our first line of stitches. So that has successfully attached our flap, and now we're just going to go back in with just basically a couple of extra for good measure here. And we might actually put some rivets in here just maybe after, right down here in the corner. We'll see. We'll see how we feel. All right, so I'm just going to go through and continue stitching, and then we will move to placing our magnetic snaps on the front. All right. So the last thing that we need to do to the main body of our panel is install the other sides of our snaps. And so I've gone ahead and used a air erasing marker to put marks where all of the snaps are. I'm just gonna make those a little bit stronger. And this will ensure that we have everything all lined up where we need it. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna punch holes here and install all of the female ends of our snaps, and then we'll do our lock. All right, 4 working snaps, all set and in the perfect place. Now, before, we're using a lock bar, and so it does come with teeny tiny screws and a backing. So this piece here will end up being inserted into our main panel, and we just want to make sure that we insert it this way, like this, so that once we lock it, that's what sort of keeps it in place. We're also going to use some Fabri-Tac, which is permanent adhesive. We're going to sort of put it right down in there. And this is easy. This is a 4-inch bar, and we're just going to put it right in the middle. We're going to keep it there, hold it in place, and we're going to use a tiny screwdriver to install the screws on the back side. So we just need to get our tiny screwdriver, and then we're going to let that sort of hang out a little bit with the glue, and we'll figure out where we need to place the second part of our lock, and then we'll also do our nameplate, and then we'll be done with this main panel for the time being. So we've got our little screwdriver. We're just going to be really careful with our screws. They are teeny tiny, and I have lost these before, and what a disaster piece, you guys. Total disaster. All right. So again, it's just easy because it's right, we're just lining it up in the center. So we're gonna go ahead and use our glue. And we're just gonna put it right down here in the bottom. Just gonna give us a little bit of extra hold while we sort of work with the screws, and it'll stay where we want it. And so we're just going to make sure that we're holding that down in there where we want it. Give it some time to catch the glue. And then once the glue has caught, we're going to poke little tiny holes with our seam ripper, just to help those screws sort of go into place. Then we'll take a center screw and you just screw it in. Till it will not go any further. Okay. I have a hard time with like the locks that you have to like punch out or cut out. I just like not good with them. So I don't have a lot of them. The twist locks. I do like the bar clasp locks because I think that they work really well. I have closed a few bags with clasps like this before, and I like the look, and I think it's easy, and I'm not concerned that it's going to come off. Not that a twist lock will come off, but still. Okay, there we go. We're on. All right. Let's go ahead and make the markings for the other part of our lock. And then we will, let me show you. We've got a metal bag tag here, and that's what we're going to put on. So let's just close this up. We're going to go right through the center. And then we're just gonna take our bar here. We're gonna see which holes these go through so we know where the center is. So the center, right there, and we're going to grab our seam ripper one more time. Rip through, but not too far. And then we just want to push these out to give it some stability. Perfect. Okay. So that's what we're looking at, and we're going to put our tag right down here. Okay, far enough away from the edge where we're not worried. And make marks. Just make it as straight as possible. We are once again going to grab our seam ripper. And you know, I think we are going to turn these in. Yeah, we're going to turn these in rather than out. And just make sure we're still straight here. Some of these do better when you turn them out, and some do better when you turn them in. These were meant to be turned in, it looks like. And seam rip down here. So this bag has a lot of hardware, but it looks really cool. I'll show you in 1 second what we're working with here, you guys, I promise. So there we go. There's our nameplate down here at the bottom. And then I'll go ahead and just cover these up with some tape to make sure that they don't bother our, oh my gosh, that's gonna be so cute, that they don't bother our lining. All right, so we're gonna move on to do our side panels now. All right, so our next step is to make our side panels for the bag. And I have put together one already. And so the construction of this is actually really cool because this is really super stiff, but we don't have to turn this out. This actual outside part of the gusset is getting sewn to our bag, and so this is the inside. So we're going to build this right now, including our D-ring, our side straps, our gusset pieces, and we're going to go through making one whole side. We are using just a little bit of binding. This is a waterproof canvas, and I picked it because it's really thin. I have a lot of layers going on already, and so I wanted to make sure that whatever we put on our side, which you'll see on the inside of the bag, basically, this will be the inside, is nice and sews well, and I just needed something really thin. So this is a 1-inch waterproof canvas binding roll, and that's what we're going to use for that. Also, don't get nervous. If you've done every other thing, you can definitely do this little bit of binding. All right, so this is our panel. We have already put the slit for our D-ring in here, and we have already sewn down both sides of our D-rings like we did for the top handle to match. Now there is a measurement, which I love, on the pattern piece for you to make your D-ring slit, so it will be the same regardless. We've also attached double-sided tape already. Now before we stick down that double-sided tape, we're going to do our D-ring. So we're just taking one side and we're sticking it through that hole. You want your slice to be not too big. Okay. All right, so we're in. And then we're going to take our D-ring, pop it on. And then we're going to bring our other end down here. And we're going to get this guy in as well. Like I said, you want a nice tight space here, and so it's a little difficult to sort of get it in and get it going. But once you do that, it gets a lot easier. I like to make my slits just the right size. It just has a nice finish to it, that's all. And once you get that in there, then we can start to pull it. You can see my double-sided tape already wants to come off. This is why we held off on doing it on our exterior, because I knew by the time we got to using it, it would come off. All right, here we go. We're in. And so then you're just going to pull this down, and we want it to match. That looks pretty good there. So we're just going to put a stitch right here to hold everything down, and then off camera I will pop in a rivet just to ensure that that stays exactly where we want it to. And we're just getting as close as we can. And like I said, these are thick layers, and so we got it off a little bit on our back stitch there. Just take your time. So you can see we have stitched that down, and now we're just going to grab and we're going to put a little spot right there for our rivet. I'm going to punch that through, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. All right, so there we go. Got our rivet in, and it's through all of our layers. I like to put a rivet in because I think it looks nice, but also it makes me feel like the D-ring connector is super secure, and of course that's what we're looking for. All right, now we're going to remove the backing of our double-sided tape on all 4 sides. And I'm using the wash away tape, and that is because of how gummy my needle tends to get and how much it really dislikes double-sided tape. So there are other double-sided tapes that are going to stick better, but I know that what I have is not. So I am making choices sort of based on that. So we are going to clip down our sides once we sort of fold them over to make sure that they stay where we want them to. Okay, so we're just going to start here at the top. And you're just folding over onto your interfacing. And I'm not folding over the corners, I'm doing that on purpose. Okay, then we'll come in and do the sides. All right, sorry guys, this takes a good amount of time. One more. And you can see, like, even as I'm pushing it down, it's not really staying. And that's why we're clipping also. Just want everything to remain where it needs to be. Okay, and I'm going to show you one corner and that's it. But the reason I didn't put these down is because you want your corners to come together like this. See how there's this V sort of sticking up? And then you're going to just come in and clip. And then fold down, and that creates a nice little corner. So we're going to do that in all 4 of our corners. Okay. All right. So here we are. Our corners are all sort of flat now. And again, we're using those clips just because of our double-sided tape. So then we're going to take our lining piece. And we have drawn a 1/2 inch mark down on the right side of our lining. And this is where we're going to attach our panels together. And we're going to do that with both right sides facing up, okay? So I'm just going to move this so that I can see that we're on the line. I'm going to take our corner clippies, and I'm just going to come down and add in our lining to those. And so we've just lined up straight across the line, and we're going to top stitch on the exterior part of our panel. We're going to remove our clips as we go, again, just to ensure that we are exactly where we want to be. Everything stays stuck down. Okay. You can go ahead and remove the rest of those now. All right, so I'll just show you. So we top stitched right here on our exterior. And now we're going to fold that lining down. Okay, like so. And we're just going to clip that into our side clips. And you might not have side clips if you have tape, or if you used glue or something that's sticking better than what I have. So if you don't have clips, that's fine. Basically, just want to get this down while we work on our side strap. Okay. All right, so that's what we've got at the moment. We're going to set that to the side, and we're going to pull out our side strap pieces, so our exterior and our lining. And I'm going to do the same thing I did for our exterior here, and I'm not going to show you that, but I'm going to put double-sided tape on all four sides, and I will fold over onto our onto what is my problem? Onto our interfacing, and then the same thing, we're going to do a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch and top stitch those down to the top. So I'm going to do all of that off camera because it's exactly the same. We're setting it up the exact same way. And then I will come back on so we can do the next step. Okay, so we have top stitched both sides. And I just wanted to take a quick note. So if your lining piece is a little larger or the same size as your exterior, I just scoot it over to the side that we're going to be attaching to our gusset. Because we're encasing that in binding, it's okay. You can see here, and this is just me not cutting very well, which is typical of me. But yeah, so you can see we have a little excess, and that excess is fine because it's going to be within binding anyways, and so it's not a big deal. The side that's going to be shown is really the side that you want to look nice and finished, and this will be on the outside of our finished bag. And so that's sort of what we did here. Again, these clippies, they're not in the pattern. They're holding our glued edges together. So I'll apologies in advance. I also went ahead and while I was top stitching, I just basted together our panels. That way I could remove the clippies from this side of the glue. Again, this was just because everything isn't staying together for me, and this is just, it's because of the tape I'm using, not the pattern. So don't worry about that. If you have better tape than me, you'll be totally fine. But I did baste this together just to hold it without the clip so that it was a little easier. All right, so then the big parts of what we want to do here is we're putting our exterior side up, and our exterior side will be matching here. So this is what we're after. We're just going to find the center of our gusset panel here quickly. Okay, so I've got a crease, and I'm just going to make a little mark in that crease so that I know that that's the center. So I'm just using my air erasing marker. I've cut a center clip as well in our gusset. Okay, here. So I'm going to put right sides together, and I'm just going to come down, and I'm going to clip right there at the center. And then I'm going to fold our gusset strap into the clips that we have already in place. Okay, and then I am going to come up. We're going to match up our top. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Bring our, now this is nice and stiff, so definitely keep that in mind. We're going to match up our top, and then we're going to clip, and we're going to fit everything in as close as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and keep folding into the clips, and as we get to these corners here, we are going to make some snips in our gusset. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back together. The big thing here really is that you want your gusset to match up on the top. Okay, so that's the most important piece. All right, so we have everything clipped in. You can see we've got little bits hanging over of our gusset at the bottom, but that's totally fine because we bind it anyways. It's not a big deal, and it doesn't affect the outer part at all of what we're sewing, and so it's not going to affect the shape of your bag. So this is, it could just be my construction or whichever. Even in the pattern, there are little bits at the bottom, and so if your little bits are bigger or smaller or whatever, that's totally fine. The big piece is just that you match up at the top, and that we're good to go up there. So that's what we're going to focus on. Okay, now we're going to stitch this together. I have my screwdriver here. This is going to be thick. You will probably hear my machine struggle. I'm just using this screwdriver to work my materials far out to those edges as possible. And make sure that everything underneath where I'm sewing is nice and flat. And so this is just where you want to take your time for sure. And you can see our fabric is moving much closer to those edges as we sew, and that's exactly what you're looking for. So again, if you line it up and it doesn't line up perfectly, that's totally fine. It will get there. And that's the fabulous thing about sewing. There actually is no perfect. There's whatever you choose to do, and you make the best of it. And I think that that's one of the things I like about bag making is that 100 people could make the same bag, and you're not going to find one person do it exactly the same way, which I think is fabulous. And this is one of the hardest parts of the pattern in my opinion, so we are almost to final construction, which is always my favorite part. All right. So it's sewed together very well. Actually really excited about that. I'm just clipping any loose strings that we have going on, and then we'll just cut away our extra. Like I said, it is not going to affect the final shape of our bag in any way, and so it's not a big deal. However much you got down there, it's totally fine. We had just a little bit, so not worried. Not worried at all. I'm just clipping off sort of some of these excess pieces as well. Anything that's going to interfere with getting our little binding strap on there. All right, and then I am going to show you, so here at the top, so just a little trick. We folded it over a bit, okay? And then we're going to come in here and just make slits. So now our end sort of looks like an envelope, and that will allow us to have a nice finished edge without anything sort of sticking up on us. That makes sense. I will show you in 1 second once I get this on here. So see, nice finished edge, nothing is sticking up or out, which is also important. All right, we're gonna go ahead and clip this all the way around. All right, clipped all the way around. We have finished edges at both sides, which is exactly what we want. We're just going to go around and sew. Now this isn't, it would have been, fold over elastic would have been my first choice for this, but fold over elastic is a lot thicker than this material, and so it will sort of pucker a little in the corners, but it's fine. This is going to be the bottom of the bag. I'm not concerned about it one bit. If you are though, and you prefer fold over elastic, I think you should definitely go for it because it does give you a nice look at the end. It's always best with corners, but it's totally up to you. And this is just really thick, and so we're trying to line up back again with our we're just going to try that again. We're just going to try that again. Oh, we got a little thread issue. That's what's going on here. Hang on. All right, hopefully that fixes it. Again, these thicker bits, it's just like it can be difficult. Sometimes your needle moves on your throat plate and you don't even notice it because it's so thick. We do just want to make sure that we backstitch though. All right, so we're good that time. Your girl don't like broken needles. I actually hate them, they scare me. And so you're just gonna go ahead and continue around using my screwdriver to keep this in place as best as I can. Try to help with any of those puckers. Just do your best here. That's all any of us can do, right? Our best. I'm getting so excited to see this bag finished. You know, like when you hurdle past like the hard parts and you know you're in the green, you're on your way. That is how I'm feeling right now. Okay, and we're just popping back up to the other thick part. I'm gonna go one more. Perfect. There we go, you guys. Binding is on and our side panels are done. We're going to put these to the side for now. We don't need these again until we are doing the final construction of our bag. So we're gonna take out all of our lining pieces now and get working on our final lining. All right, you guys, like I promised, we're on to the lining. So exciting. All right, so first we need to put our facings on our lining panels. Okay, so these are gonna go at both sides. We're going to flip right sides together. Just line those up. And we are sewing these on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So just, the seam allowances do change in the pattern, and so make sure you're paying attention to those. And then we're gonna flip. And we're gonna top stitch 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna flip everything underneath our lining panel here, and we're gonna top stitch on our lining panel. So just make sure everything is far enough pushed down, we're creasing, and underneath where we're sewing. Okay, like so. And then we're gonna flip and do the same thing on the other side. And then again, another top stitch here on the lining side, main lining side. All right, see, look at that. So this is our main lining, and now we're going to move on to our doing our zipper. So we're going to take our zipper panel, and we need some more double-sided tape here. I actually have to open a new roll. All right, let me just get this out quickly. There we go, our new roll. I'm happy I had some extra on hand. I would have been so bummed if I got all this far and did not have enough tape. Okay. All right, so we're just going to line double-sided tape right down the center of all 4 sides. And if you've never sewn on a zipper facing like this before, it is a really cool way to have like a nice professional looking zipper. I always like to have a few different types, styles of zippers in my arsenal. I'm just going to find the center. Now we did not fold over our top yet. Again, our double-sided tape is not going to last until we need that to happen. So because we haven't done that yet, we will do that afterwards. So we're not foregoing it, we're just holding it until after. All right, and then I went ahead and made a nice crease, and we just want to go 1 inch down from the top. Okay, and I can see our center marking. Going to remove the backing of our double-sided tape here. And this is why I say a lot of the time that you're going to take to make this bag is sort of in the prep. But doing the prep is really what's going to make this bag stand out. Okay. And then we will take the center of our facing and just line it up right there. Like so. And stick it down. And we're going to sew along the outside of the box at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then as we come back down to the bottom here, we're just gonna match it up with where we started. And we're just gonna trim up anything that sort of needs a little trimming. Any of our threads. All right. So that is good to go. Now we need to grab our seam ripper and we just need to cut out the inside of this zipper panel. So we're going to move it to the back. Just don't cut your zipper facing, okay? And this does not have to be a nice cut. You'll never see it. Again, it's just important that you don't cut your zipper facing. So that vinyl piece that we just sewed on. And then we're going to turn our attention to our zipper pocket pieces. Just making sure we have our edge down here. We're on our final cut. And then I'll show you what it looks like from the other side. The big thing here is just, it doesn't matter what it looks like because you'll never see it. All right, so there we go. There's that. Now, I didn't show the zipper in my materials. I don't know what I was thinking. Totally forgot. But here we have just a number 5 zipper, and I've cut it just slightly larger than our zipper panels, okay? And we have a pull that from Marizin, I think is what it's called. I will link it, and this is from Saya Swag. I'll link that as well. We actually, before we put on our pull, we're going to go ahead and sew together our zipper panel pieces. And so our first zipper panel piece right side up, and our zipper tape will be right side up as well, okay? And we're just gonna go ahead and sew this on. So both things are right side up here. We're sewing on with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. That way it's hidden within the zipper box. Okay, and then we're gonna take our zipper and we're going to take our other panel and do the same exact thing, okay? Right side up for both, and we're just gonna make sure that our sides match here as well. You want to have your panels starting and stopping at the same spot. There we go. Easy peasy. All right. So now we're going to install double-sided tape, and then we'll put on our pull. And I just like to do it with the flat side down. Then we'll come and make this side flat, or as flat as possible. You can also forego any pockets that you aren't interested in if you're making this. It's really kind of all about what works for you. All right, so we've got our double-sided tape on. I want my zipper to, when it's closed, be closed to the left and open to the right. And so I'm going to put it on from the right-hand side. All right, so there we go. We're in, good to go. Now here is where you want to take the time to open up your panels. And so we've got our wrong sides up of our zipper panels and the right side up of our zipper, and we're just pressing that open because this is what we're going to put into our zipper facing, okay? We are using OtterTex 600 weight, and so this is quite a bit thicker. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the double-sided tape. From both sides. Okay. We're going to take our main panel and we're going to center it right over our zipper. And we're going to come just in here. We're going to do one side at a time, and I'm going to pull this a little bit closer to me here so that I can see what we have going on. And let me see if you can see. There we go. So I'm focusing on the bottom panel first. Okay, so we got that down, and then we'll come in and work on the top. All right, and once you feel like you have it sort of where you want it to be, we're gonna make sure everything sort of stays down where we want it. And then we're going to just stitch around the inside of our zipper box all the way. Okay? All right, let's go for it, you guys. So make sure your zipper panel pieces are open. One to the top and one to the bottom. We're going to start on a bottom corner down here where you're less likely to get any sort of interference. You won't see the back stitching as much on the bottom. Just take your time over the zipper. You're going through a good amount of material. And make sure you don't use a metal zipper here. And I'm just continuing to push everything down. Make sure it's in place. I'm gonna go ahead and move our zipper pull out of the way. Gonna go one more. Okay, and then back down again. Again, taking our time through those zipper teeth. And then we're gonna come and meet up with where we started. right. That part is done. Okay, so we've got our zipper in. Good to go there. Now we have the back side of our pocket, and we just want to bring down the top. And we're going to clip. And what we're going to do next is just close up our panels. On the sides and the bottom. And so we've got to just do a little clip of our excess. And then we're going to sew all the way around to close our pocket. Okay. So we'll come from the top side here. And we're going to go straight down and across the bottom. And we're sewing from the top so that we can ensure our main panel does not get sewn into this pocket. All right, let's just clip our excess zipper tape. On both sides. And then we're just gonna burn it so that it doesn't fray. You don't want all this work that you've done to come undone. And let me just show you our zipper pocket. See that? Good to go. All closed up. All right, so now we're gonna flip and we're gonna work on our slip pocket, which is the last thing that we have to do, you guys. So we've got our slip pocket facing and our slip pocket. Okay, so this is actually one of my favorite ways to do a slip pocket because it is so easy. We're just folding it right sides together in half. And then we're going to stitch down both of the short sides. And then we're just going to come up to these corners here and just do a little cut so that will allow us to sort of push those corners out nicely. And we'll trim down our seam allowance here a tiny bit as well. And we're just going to turn this so that it's right sides out. Take our scraps. All right. We're going to have to get into our corners here with just a little tool and push those out nicely. So let me grab our stiletto here. And we're just going to smush into those corners. Okay. And we're gonna clip our sides so that they stay nice and crisp. All right, now if you've never used a slip pocket facing before, one of the reasons I love it so much is because it just makes finishing the top of your piece so easy. So I'm just going to baste these together at the top. Okay, basted, good to go. And then we're going to attach our facing, okay? And so for that, we're just going to fold right in the center. Just like so. Okay, once again, we'll clip this on. And you can see it's a little longer than what we need, which is totally fine. We will clip that extra length off after we sew this on. Okay. Now this vinyl that I'm using, it's a little stretchy, so that's why you're seeing a little bit of that movement. Okay, and we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna stitch. We're gonna take off our excess here so that we don't get confused. Which you probably can't see because I'm a little over here, but I'm just cutting off our edges. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and just do a couple of more rows of stitching here to get everything exactly sort of where we want it. I might actually also, we're just gonna snip just a tiny bit to make this a little more even. Again, this was me cutting. There we go. Okay, so we will go ahead and do another stitch line closer to the bottom and one more above the original. Actually, I like the look of the two. All right, so since we're sticking with the 2, I'm just trimming up our threads. Gonna seal them up. Okay, we're good on the edges. Looks like we need just a little trim up here. There we go. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to find our center of the other side. Attaching this is the last piece before final construction. Oh, so excited! I'm gonna crease the center. Come down an inch from where our top facing meets our main lining. Sorry for my head, you guys. You know, sometimes a girl's got to get in here. We're going to grab our hockey tape, which we haven't used yet, our handy dandy sewing tool. And I'm just creasing to find the center here, lining up with the top. I'm going to take out our clips. And we're just going to hold down our slip pocket with some of this hockey tape. If you've seen my videos before, you know this is pretty much my go-to for holding down things temporarily. I just want it to stay in place, basically. And we got plenty of excess hockey tape laying around this house. All right. And then we're going to just stitch around everything but the top. Okay, so down this side, across the bottom, and back up again. You can use rivets here also. I am not going to be utilizing rivets to hold this pocket on. I think stitching down will be just enough for us. Okay, and then we'll pivot to go across the bottom. And then back up our final side. Plenty of back stitching at the top. Oh my god, so cute. Look, here we go. There it is. There's our slippy pocket. Okay, now we need to measure an inch down from our top facing. We're going to make a mark for now because this is what we're going to fold our top facing down to. I'm going to do that on both sides. And then we're gonna start to put our bag together, you guys. So we'll use this line here momentarily. Again, we're just making a few adjustments from the pattern based on how we, the bulk of materials and our machine and what we chose to use. So we're just folding down to that line, okay? The pattern will have you use double-sided tape here, and you absolutely can. I am not, because I don't want to add another layer of double-sided tape. So I'm going to do this for both top facings, and then I'm going to grab our exterior main panel. We're going to sew these on. All right, we have our exterior all folded over with the double-sided tape and the clips because our double-sided tape is not good. We have our interior all folded over on both top sides. Now all we're doing at this moment is putting our lining in the middle and lining it up with our exterior here, okay? Now, when you lie them flat, they're not gonna match up and you're gonna freak out and think, oh my God, did I do something wrong? But no, you didn't, because this bag obviously is not meant to lay flat, okay? And so you didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry about it. We're gonna attach one side at a time to make it a little bit easier. And I have very strategically ensured that our zipper is on the back side. I prefer our zippers to be on the back side of bags. Okay, so that's what we're gonna attach first. And like I said, we just wanna center our lining, and then we're gonna fold it into our clips at the top, okay? All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and stitch across just the top back side, okay? And this will be at a top stitch, so 1/8 of an inch. Make sure that your flap is out of the way here. You do not want to sew that in when you're sewing. And this method of construction is so different from anything I've done before. It's really cool to sort of see it all come together. All right, so there's our top stitch on the back side, okay? It looks awesome. Now we're gonna come on up to our other side, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna make sure our lining is in the center, and we're going to make sure everything meets up. And we're gonna top stitch. Okay? And so like I said, once it's folded, your bag, it's not actually too small or too big or too anything. It's gonna fit really nicely inside. And you can start to see the shape of how our bag's gonna come together So exciting. Okay, all right, we're gonna stitch actually this side up because we have those magnets and they are attracting the metal on the side of our bag. We used a lot of clips just to be safe, so if you don't need them or don't want them, obviously clipping is part of what took us so long. All right, top stitch number 2 complete. Looks awesome. So exciting. We're almost done here. All right, guys, so this is what we're working with at the moment, okay? Now here is where we are going to attach our side panels, okay? So we're gonna come up and match up the top on both sides first. I'll give you a better look at what that looks like here in 1 second. So here, see? We're lining up the top. We're gonna come over here and do the same thing, and then we'll work our way back down, okay? All right, so I am gonna just hop off camera so that I can pull this a little closer to myself so that I can match everything up that we need, okay? And then I'll come back. All right, we've got one side clipped. See how cute? Now I'm incredibly nervous. I switched out my needle also while I was clipping to a Microtex, jeans 116. I'm hoping that that will help with some of the layers that we have. So we're gonna stitch from the, we need to mush that in a little bit. Okay, we're gonna stitch from the inside and we're just gonna go all the way around. Keep our fingers crossed that everything works out the way we hope. This final top stitch is horrifying. But we're gonna go for it. We're gonna see what happens here, okay? Okay, our stitches look good so far. I realize I'm gonna have to put the bag probably in your way, so I apologize in advance, but I do want this to come out looking nice, so just staying right along that line. taking our time. We're going to move the bag sort of as we go. Use our screwdriver to hold our materials in place. I know we're coming down to an area that is going to be pretty thick for us. That sort of seam between our base panel and our side panel. I can see it coming. And we are going to hand crank through that. So we're going to go one more. Until we really hear that sort of digging in. And then we'll hand crank through until we sort of get to the other side. All right. Almost all the way around, you guys. We're going to come back up to a seam here in a second. So once again, I'm just going to try to keep our material where we want it. I'm going to go one more time, and then we're going to hand crank through the thick seam. And I'm just smushing here. I know that's not like a technical term, but it's going to help you. All right, and make sure that your flap sort of stays out of the way here. Okay, and we're coming back up to the top. We're just trying to get that back stitch to catch. There we go. Okay. All right, so that is what our side is gonna look like, okay? We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I won't record that because it is the same. And then we will attach our strap and take a look at our bag all together. All right. You guys, I know that this is not a fast make, but it is so, so worth it. Seriously. Also, spoiler alert, we went with the 1.5 inch wide webbing for our strap from Wonderground. I will also link my how to make a strap video in the description below, so make sure you check that out if you've never done a strap before with rivets. It is going to focus on how to make it with the Cam Snaps rivet press, and we did rivets a lot in this bag. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach this to our D-ring connectors. And then we'll take a look at our final bag. You guys, she is a beautiful bag. Beautiful. This might be my favorite part. This like bump out sides. And I'm so happy we went with the same as our flap because it gave it a little bit of, it gave it some zhuzh, you know. All right, so let's open her up and we'll go over. One of the things that I love about this bag is that the pattern designer puts everything you need, like all the marks you need for the snaps, the locks, the handle, the D-ring connectors. It's all there. You don't have to measure it, and I love that. Okay, so again, we're opening. And we've got our zipper pocket here in the back. Yes, so cute. And then we've got our slip pocket up front. And the way that our gusset sides come in, they just like close in on those panels perfectly. Here you can see, right? And that's like, and this is a good size bag. It is chunky. It's chunky. You can fit a ton of stuff in here. And it comes together. It looks so just as cool on the inside as it does on the outside. And I think that that's amazing. We've got our flap. Right, we did 3 lines of stitching for that. You can also put rivets in here. I would wait if you're gonna rivet the flap and do it at the end, okay? That way you don't mess up any of your stitching or anything like that. So let's just close her up. And there are measurements in there for what size to make the strap. So it is, it's 50 inches in length, this one. And so you can sort of make it, you can wear a crossbody, or just under your shoulder, depending on how big you want your strap to be. You could also, this would look great with a chain, but I didn't have any chain strap in silver. So, all right, you guys, this is it. This is the Olivia Bag by Janie Bags. Oh yeah, we got our purse feet too. So cute. I love the sound a bag makes when you put it down on a table. And it's got purse feet and it's got that little clank to it. Just like so classy. So classy. All right, so that was it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you stuck around till the end because this bag is so, so worth it. I hope you go grab the pattern and sew up some fancy, cute bag designs, and understand that you can do you with this, okay? So there are suggestions for interfacing. If you're like, oh, that's gonna be too much for me, like, go ahead, you do you. Do you, okay? You want to make it smaller, you want to make it bigger, enlarge, make it smaller, you go for it. That is my biggest thing with sewing, you guys. There's no right or wrong way to do anything. There's just your way, and your way is totally perfect. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you soon.